first underlying principle of those old founder practices was community. People got together. Sixth floor of CC Hub, Afropolitan vibes. People were friends because they actually got together. I think now there's a lot of sniping on Twitter. People only talk on Twitter and they talk about themselves. People were competing with themselves, not on the basis of the value they wanted to create, but on the basis of, oh, I raised more than you. We don't have builders at a time when it is most critical for us to have builders. People didn't copy. The other thing was people spent time with their customers. There were things that you didn't do, not because you couldn't, but just because you felt like it would deny other people opportunities. Now everybody wants to be Gen Z. But you couldn't just do stuff how you liked because there was structure. It was too hard to lie to each other. There was an undertone of a focus on social change. I think people try to solve more ambitious problems than they are trying to solve now.
My question is about the patterns of founder behavior and how that might have changed post-2020. 2020 was when things really shifted, in quotes, in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Now, in the early days of the current iteration of the ecosystem, that's around 2013, 2014, it seemed that people were starting companies primarily because they saw a problem that needed to be solved, right? You think about delivery, you think about what Mark did with hotels, what Sim did with Conga and all those, and what you did with Fora and Andela too. But now, after 2020, it seemed that people started starting companies for the sole purpose of raising more money, or just, they just wanted a share of the VC pie. Now, in the process, we've sort of lost what I call old-time founder practices. Right. So what are some of those old-time founder practices? I mean, you've seen all the eras, the two eras. You've been a founder, you've been an investor. So what are some of those things that we've lost that we need to retain?
I won't lie. I mean, if you were not in the sixth floor of CC Hub 2013, 2014, you lost though. Yeah, like there's no way to really explain it. And a lot of the deep friendships, I mean, some people call us a clique or whatever, but it's like a lot of the deep friendships and trust were built around it. But a few things, I mean, and honestly, one of the reasons why I'm glad you asked that question, David, because one of the reasons why I'm making it a point to now speak more to founders. I'm not on Twitter anymore, so you can't get my insights for free. So now you have to see me in person, because one of the reasons why I made it a point to start talking to founder groups and spend time with founders and builders is because we don't have builders at a time when it is most critical for us to have builders. It's almost like when Jesus came to earth and people didn't recognize him.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. Because for 10 years, I was with HM this morning and we're just reminiscing that for 10 years we were working on this thing. The thing has come now. Everybody don't scatter. And it was just like some people were just saying that, well, like, this is unfortunate, but we have to find a way. Some of those, the first underlying principle of those old founder practices was community. The first thing was people got together. So we sixth floor of CC Hub, or you went to, I don't know how many of you remember Afropolitan vibes. Or you come to Andela's rooftop for Friday night parties every once a month.
Really?
Yeah, we used to be a party center. That time they used to call me Pastor Turn Up.
My God. My God.
I was a different animal that time. Thank God for Jesus. So people were friends because they actually got together. I think now there's a lot of sniping on Twitter. People only talk on Twitter and they talk about themselves. We had Twitter then, but that was nowhere we knew each other. We knew each other in real life. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like we hung out. We knew we were together. You understand? And people helped each other out. So that was the bedrock. The other thing was people spent time with their customers. I forget the name of this startup, but that time they used to be the ones that would order food from White House, right? I don't know how many of you know White House. Okay, there are some people. So White House was Yaba's restaurants. So if you wanted to eat and you were in tech and you didn't go to White House, what were you doing? And there was a startup that would order food from White House, and they actually knew the White House people. They will come, they would actually take your order physically. There was no use this app with beta list, nothing. It was like physical. Do you understand what I'm saying? So people actually spoke to their customers and tried to understand what it was they were trying to do. Another thing was that people were very responsible. And I'm not saying, so people were mostly worried about how their behavior will come off on the ecosystem. Do you understand? So there were things that you didn't do, not because you couldn't, but just because you felt like it would deny other people opportunities. So you would just don't work like that. And the ecosystem was ready to cast, was willing to expel people for bad behavior. You understand what I'm saying? There are people that experience that and will say, oh, the ecosystem is a clique. But it was just, The fourth thing was, no matter how we felt about each other, because we all had our disagreements, we had a respect for leadership. So before you did certain things, there were people you had to go and see. Bosun was one of them. Toby Davis was one of them. Collins Onuigbo was one of them. There were people you had to go and see. Even when my co-founders came, it's me, I had to go and beg for the meetings. You understand? Some people met with me, some people didn't meet with me. But you couldn't just do stuff how you liked because there was structure. We moved together. Now everybody wants to be Gen Z. You understand what I'm saying? Uh-huh. And then the most important thing was, at the end of the day, there was just a basic level integrity. It was too hard to lie to each other. You understand? Because everybody was sixth floor of CC Hub was like maybe half this room. So if you said something, I'll just go and ask the guy. Do you understand what I'm saying? Then VCs will come to CC Hub for office hours. You get what I'm saying? Because they will come to the office. Because there was nobody that was going to go and do Skype meeting or whatever. So, unfortunately, and there was an undertone of a focus on social change. I think people try to solve more ambitious problems than they are trying to solve now. People didn't copy. You understand what I'm saying? There were companies like Ticket Mobile, companies. I think about the kind of problems that we can solve now. And there were more ambitious startups from 2012 to 2017. Yeah, I think by 2019, in my opinion, I would argue that by 2019, a lot of that had petered away. 2020, there was a slump. So there was a bit of that camaraderie when everybody was supporting each other. But by the time COVID money entered the equation, by 2021, it was a different ecosystem. That was when I stopped investing, because for me, it was just like, look, I can't play this game, right? Investing became a status thing. And people were competing with themselves, not on the basis of the value they wanted to create, but on the basis of, I raised more than you, or I have more status than you, or I have a bigger company retreat. That was the one that annoyed me the most. I have a bigger company retreat than you. So like flying somebody somewhere was a stunt now. You understand what I'm saying? So people were competing on employee benefits. Not because they really wanted the well-being of the employee, but so they could show how well-resourced they were. And wasting money. Back in the day, people invested in other people and didn't talk about it. So it's a lot that there is to learn from that time, and I hope it will come back.